Hello guys, greetings from my home on Saturday, August 31st. I hope you guys are having a wonderful weekend, and we are going to talk this morning about the homework assignment, What's Your Cosine, on page 51. So what you guys need to know about this assignment is you're graphing this function first. Z is equal to cosine theta. And the first thing we should consider is which variable goes on which axes. Notice that theta is our input variable. We're putting numbers into theta, and we're getting out z's. So that means that theta is going to go on our horizontal axis. So I'm going to label that right now. I'm going to put theta on the horizontal. And as I just mentioned, z is our output. We're getting out values for z as we put in numbers for theta. So z is going to go along this vertical axis, the up-down axis. So the next thing we have to consider is, whoop, I made the z backwards. Let me try that again. And there we go. Okay. So the next thing we have to consider is what should be our range of values along the theta axis. Okay. And the book tells us that we need to go from negative 360 to positive 720. So you're going to start off, your negative 360 is going to go like the furthest to the left, and then positive 720 is going to go the furthest to the right. And what I would recommend is that you went by 30 degrees. That should be your spacing, because 30 degrees is just a really easy number to work with when we're talking about trig. So 30, 60, 90, all the way out to 720 going to the right, and then negative 30, negative 60, all the way out to negative 360 going to the left. Now notice that I'm taking kind of a longer route to graph this function. If you can look at this function and think of a very shorthand method of graphing it, please do so. Okay, there might be a shortcut to this, which we're going to talk about on Wednesday of next week. The next thing we need to consider is how to space the z-axis, the up-down axis. And I can tell you for a fact, and you could probably try some various values of thetas to figure out what the maximum is for z, but I can tell you right now it's going to be 1, and the minimum would thus be negative 1. Notice our midline is 0, because we're not adding anything over here to the cosine theta, so that would make our midline 0, or our midline the theta axis. So you guys can start plotting points after that, and you should get something that looks kind of like this, and I'm going to draw it in a different color so you can really see the graph. It should look like a cosine graph. Something like that. Okay? Of course, these valleys or these hills would all be the same distance up, which are not in my picture, but you guys get the general idea that they would be equal in height, and the valleys would be equal in depth. Okay, so from there what you're doing is you're identifying the amplitude. You guys all know how to do that. That's the distance between the midline and the top, and the midline and the very bottom. I'll let you guys figure that out. And you're identifying the period. And the period, if you guys can remember this in class, is just the distance between the start of one cycle and the start of another cycle. So here in this picture, we could measure the period between each of these hills, and that would be one period. But you could also measure it from like this point over here to the following point over on the next hill. It's just the one place along one period to the next place along the next period. I really wish I could explain that better, but I hope you get the general idea. From there, you're identifying the theta intercepts, and what that is just, it's exactly what it means, what it says. You're looking for the points where the graph crosses the theta axis, and there may be like, I don't know, 5 or 6 of those. You'll have to figure out exactly how many there are. And then lastly, what you're doing is you're identifying the thetas that give you a maximum along the graph. So for instance, if you plug in 0, you would get a maximum. You would get the maximum. And if you plugged in something over here, you would get a maximum. And if you plugged in something over here, you would get a max. Whoop. there we go, a maximum. And if you plugged in various values of theta, you would get mins. And values of theta, you would get mins. This is really hard to do because I'm kind of looking at myself through the camera, but trying to do things on the board, so it's hard. But yeah, it should be pretty straightforward. It may take you, I don't know, 30 minutes at the most. Hope you guys are having a good weekend, and we'll see you Wednesday. Enjoy the 3-day break. Bye.